joined today by a UFC fighter, Nick Aguirre. He's going to be competing at Midwest Finishers in a grappling match against Mando Gutierrez here in a few days now, May 27th. Looks like he's staying busy, right? Again, Nick, what's been
Yeah,
going on with you, man? You're staying busy, right? Competing nonstop. How's life been for you?
good. Just been training a lot. Unfortunately, didn't get a fight when I wanted, so just been trying to stay as busy as possible, trying to do some grappling matches, just keep competing. I love to compete, so works out.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, man, I'm obviously you're under the UFC contract, right? Made your debut in January, right? Took a little bit of a detour doing these two grappling matches. Now that's what it is. You've been looking for UFC fights, but I guess nothing's come to fruition. So you're sort of just trying to stay busy. Is that accurate?
Yeah. I was really so I'm getting married in July, so I was
Oh,
really hoping to
congrats.
fight in June. And once that didn't work out, I just figured just stay as busy as possible, do these grappling matches. It keeps my weight low, keeps me competitive. So just been trying to do stuff like that as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Let's talk about that, right? I mean, you got Art of Scrap 6, the last one at least, right? You picked up a win. I'd like to, maybe talk, touch on that one a little bit since you just competed. It was fairly recently, right? You picked up the victory over Nick Fox, I believe, right? It was a
Yeah.
decision. Can you walk me through that fight, man? How do you think it played out? How do you view the fight now as you look back on it?
It was good. I just sort of do these for fun. It's not like a lot of pressure. It's
Not
nothing
do or
like a
die or
fight.
anything, right?
Yeah, it's nothing crazy. I mean, they asked me to do it the Monday of the show, so I was just like,
Really?
sure. Yeah, I fought for them before. I fought for them my third pro fight, and I really like the guy who runs the show is a great guy, a great promoter, real nice guy. So when he asked me to do it, I was like, of course, you're gonna bring me in there to compete. It's a great show, might as well. And the actual match, it went pretty good. I just for things like this, I just let it fly. There's no reason to be all tight and just try to take somebody down and hold them down in their guard the whole time. Or like I went for like three flying triangles. I just try to keep it as active as possible.
Right. So you're not really looking necessarily at the wins or loss in these, right? It's all about sort of improvements and whatnot.
I mean,
I mean,
I'm
you want to win,
competitive.
right? Of course, but
Yeah, I'm
it's not as
competitive.
important, rather, I should say.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely want to win. I'll do what I have to do to win if it comes down to that. But if I feel comfortable where like I'm pretty confident, I'm gonna let it fly. I'm gonna do whatever I want, really.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
depends how it's going.
Right. Now, look, you said that it came to fruition sort of that same week, right? You were contacted by the guy who runs it, I'm assuming, right? And he
Yeah.
said, "Hey, man, can we get you in here on short notice?" What is it? Somebody like fell out or something, I guess.
No, they just sort of wanted to put me on because
Okay.
I was in the UFC and things like that.
For grappling, these things can get put together a lot faster, I'm assuming,
Yeah.
right? Than for UFC. So, like, it's not like a weird thing for something like that to happen, right?
Yeah. For that, we didn't even have to make weight. I mean, he was a big guy. The guy face was pretty. He was a thick boy. He was
Sure.
definitely weighing a bit more than me.
Yeah. As far as like the preparations for these things, right? Are you preparing with anybody specific for like, this last one and now this one?
No, nothing different. I mean, I just train. I'm training every day at
Okay.
VFS, and I mean, I train with high level guys, so I figure that's going to get me ready for things like this, no matter what.
Right.
So nothing too specific, though.
For the next one, right? Did it come together sort of in a similar fashion like this one? They reached out, said, "Hey, you want to jump on this week or whatever?" Is that sort of how this one came to fruition as well? This
Yeah,
upcoming one, May 27th?
yeah. I found out about that maybe like a week ago. So
Yeah.
yeah, that I actually the place that is doing the show. That's where I got. I used to do jujitsu there, so they know me
Okay.
pretty well. So somebody I knew asked me if I'd face Mondo. They're like, this guy hit us up about having a match at 55, and I was like, sure thing. And I actually know Mondo. Me and Mondo trained together a few times. So I was like, as long as he's cool with it, I'm cool with it. We're not punching each other in the face, so it's not, it's fun.
Right. Yeah, I was gonna ask you because I did see that you said he was your boy on Instagram, something along those lines. You guys are friendly
Yeah,
at least, right? I'm
yeah,
sure that there's a lot of mutual respect there, right? As far as the skills.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've trained with Mondo multiple times, and yeah, he's a good dude. I have a lot of respect for him. He's really good, so it's gonna be a good match.
Would it be different if it was like an MMA fight because you actually have to like punch him in the face? Is it a little bit more bearable when
Yeah.
you're fighting someone you could, that you're cool with, like, but it's grappling, it seems like it's, again, you just mentioned the wins and losses. You want to win, right? But it's not like do or die almost, right? So
Yeah.
it seems like, of course, again, you're not going in this to lose, but I'm saying
Yeah.
like it has to be a little bit easier knowing that it's a grappling match, not a mixed martial arts fight.
Yeah. It's way different. Like for a fight, I mean, losing a fight it's like death. It's terrible.
Right.
But losing a grappling match is bad. You're like, I mean, it sucks. It'll ruin my day and all, but it's not the
Yeah.
same. It's not the same preparation. You don't put the same amount in it. There's not as many eyes. Just everything about it's different.
We spoke about the skill set of Mando, right? Strictly within the confines of grappling, of course. Like what kind of things stand out to you as far as his style and all that?
He's very strong. When he's on top, he is very strong. He's hard to move. Um, he's athletic. A lot of athleticism and strength. A lot of when he tries to take your back a lot. When he gets there, he's very good. So those are just some of the things I have to watch out for.
Yeah.
But he's pretty good everywhere. I'm pretty good everywhere. It's gonna go all over the place, I'm guessing.
When you do something like this, right, it gets put together so fast. Do you have any time to study the opponent? Again, it's for the last one didn't seem like you were doing it either, right? It seems like this one you're just gonna go in there, right? Is that accurate? Or do you watch
Yeah.
anything at all?
No, I'm not gonna. I mean, I've rolled with the guy
Right. Well, that's true.
enough
Yeah,
to
that's
have an
true.
idea where I don't really need to watch
This
anything.
isn't
But
somebody that you're completely unfamiliar with.
yeah, I have an idea what he's gonna feel like. I felt his strength before. I felt where he's good at. So I have a good idea of what to watch out for and where I think I'm gonna have the upper hand.
They reach out to you, another company or saying one of the two that, they say, hey, man, you want to come back? You want to compete in another grappling match? Like, let's say in a month or so, would you do it or no?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're fun to me. I like this is a fun thing to do. I like to grapple. Um, like I said, it's not really stressful to me. I mean, it's funny when you see like grappling guys who like do local tournaments and they're tripping out. But it's like once you fought and then you go back to doing stuff like that, there's feels like
Right.
nothing. It's
Right.
like not the same at all.
And it's interesting how you categorize, the MMA as fighting, and then this just seems to be like competition, right? Like like you don't play fighting, right? Fighting is a
Yeah.
whole different thing.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's one of my things. I think it's interesting when jujitsu people always talk about their fights.
It's funny
Uh,
because when I brought it up, like when I was asking you like a minute ago, I said it was, and I phrased it as a fight. In my head, I was like, I should have said match, but because these
yeah.
things aren't really fights, technically, right?
Yeah. Not the same. I
No
mean, there's
disrespect to like jujitsu practice or to anyone in the grappling
yeah,
world,
I love jujitsu. I love jujitsu. Respect jujitsu. I've watched jujitsu. But yeah, it's not a fight.
right? And
If you're not scared about getting knocked out, it's not a fight.
let's talk about fights, right? Let's talk about the UFC. I'm sure the focus is on May 27th. Of course, I'd like to ask a few questions in regards to, yourself in the octagon and the Ultimate Fighting Championship,
Sure.
given that's where we're going to be seeing you in the future a lot of times, right? You made your UFC debut back in January, right? You took on, what was it, on like a 6-day notice up a weight class, right?
5 or 6 days. I found out it was confirmed like Monday at like 10 p.m. And then
So
I
yeah,
hopped
right.
the next day.
So definitely less than a week, right? Obviously
Yeah.
not ideal circumstances for a UFC fight, but I mean, sometimes you got to take what you can get, right? How do you
Yeah.
feel like it affected the performance? Obviously, it's again not ideal circumstances, not the way you want to go into a fight. How did it affect what went on in there?
I felt flat. I felt super flat. Um, I'm definitely too small to be a 145 pounder. I mean, I would never fight at 145 again, especially at a stage like that. But when an opportunity like that comes, you can't say no. And I liked the fight. I like when they gave me the name, I was cool with it. I mean, really, they could have gave me any name. I was gonna say yes, but I liked the fight. But yeah, definitely, it was a busy week. It was a crazy week. As soon as we got there, you just do medical after medical. Even the day of weigh-ins, my blood what didn't come in on time, so I had to do blood after weigh-ins, which
Oh man.
that wasn't ideal, obviously, to give blood. with less than 24 hours from when you're fighting.
When you
So
want to
there's
just
just
be rehydrating, right?
yeah, I mean, we had so many things, and that was the one day I was like, at least the day of weigh-ins, I'm gonna relax. And then we weigh in, I go back to my hotel at like 4 p.m. right before we're gonna go get dinner. I get a call and they're like, "Hey, we need you to go do a like rapid blood work." And I was like, "Fuck, that sucks." But I mean, it is what it is. Everything's not gonna go your way, and you still need to try to find a way to get it done. And at the end of the day, I didn't get it done. So, I have no excuses about that. Just need to improve and make sure nothing like that ever happens again.
Hey, well, good on you for, taking accountability of it, man. That's pretty much the only way we can move forward, right? You got to learn from the
Yeah.
mistakes. When all these things are happening, right? The stuff after the weight cut, I guess sort of struggling to get through the week and all that. Do you keep in the back of your head like, well, listen, it's the UFC, it's a big stage, it's a big opportunity. You got to stay positive. Is that something that's always in the back of your head through a week like that when when things pop up?
Yeah, I try to stay as positive as I possibly could. I mean, I definitely was frustrated about some things, but for
Right.
the most part, I just try to stay as positive as I could because at the end of the day, the guy you're fighting doesn't give a shit. He does not care what you just went through. He
Right.
doesn't care if it's been a long week. He's gonna still try to beat you up, So, I just try to stop thinking about, oh, poor me, and just try to stay as positive as possible. And because at the end of the day, I'm gonna get in a fist fight no matter what.
Absolutely. And the outcome definitely doesn't care about what happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, if you become a highlight reel, nobody in the comments are gonna care about what you went through.
Right.
It is what it is.
There's not going to be like a pinned comment that says, hey, it was a 6-day notice fight, man.
Yeah. No, like you got knocked out.
Yeah. Well, luckily that didn't happen to you, man.
Yeah.
So look, you got to be eager to get back in there, right? Though at 135 pounds with a full
Yeah.
camp, how eager are you to show what you could do?
Oh, I'm so excited to finally be in there at the weight I want with a full camp. I, you know, I'm not happy about how the last fight went. I mean, there wasn't too many things to be happy about with it. So I'm very excited to go out there and right that wrong and show who I truly am because I didn't get to show much, honestly. It was not a good showing, and I know that.
You're not a stranger at 145 though either, right? Why do you think that 135 is the best weight for you? I mean, obviously you said you feel like you're a bit small for the weight class, right? Has,
Yeah.
sort of having some fights at 45, that's what made you realize that? Like you get in there and it's like, I feel like I'm sort of physically outmatched.
I mean, I always knew I'd be a 35er. I mean, 45.
Is it because of the weight cut too? Like a lot of times,
Yeah,
like I just don't want to cut to 35. I'm not in the UFC right now. So maybe it's
yeah,
not worth cutting weight if I could just fight this dude at 45.
yeah. I'm not getting paid much for
Right.
these fights, so if they offered me at something at 45, and honestly, I mean, not to be all respect to those guys, but the level of competition is way lower, obviously.
Sure.
So I could beat those guys at 45 there. And those guys aren't cutting as much weight. The local scene, the guys are at 45, local scene, I'm normal. I'm
Really?
bigger than a lot of them. But once you get to the high level and everybody's pulling hard, because everybody's pulling a lot of weight, those 45ers are different. Those
Never
guys are,
thought about it like that. That's true. Yeah, right. Because it seems like the guys in the UFC are probably way more dedicated because they're in the UFC, right? They're there
yeah,
already. So it's probably like a whole lifestyle for them, right?
yeah. So yeah, if I was gonna fight locally forever, I could fight 45 every time. But once
Right.
we got high level, everybody's pulling good 20, 30 pounds. Now I'm not. Now it's not possible to be that weight.
Right. Right. No, absolutely. Look, I mean,
Yeah.
you were undefeated also at one point, right? For somebody that
Yeah.
never tasted a professional defeat until that last fight, walk me through the emotions when you lose a fight, when you're leaving the octagon, when you're just leaving any competition with a loss. How is that different from all those other times when you were walking away with all those W's?
Yeah. I mean, as an amateur, I was 6-0. Then
So
pro, I
even as
started.
an amateur, you didn't lose.
Yeah. So I was like 13-0 altogether up to that point. And there's definitely a thing about when you're undefeated, you're sort of like, this is always going to work out, like no matter what. And that's one of the things that I kept thinking about too when, there's a lot going on. I was like, yeah, lots going on, but I've never lost. I'm going to find a way. So it is like a shocking moment for you when like there's 20 seconds left and this is not going your way. So yeah, it was heartbreaking. It was a tough tough pill to swallow. Tough to look at yourself in the mirror after that a bit, but
Right.
it's what it is, and you just have to move on. And I'm trying to learn as much as I can from that experience and just trying to grow from it.
Right. And obviously when you're when you lose a fight, right? Let's say that you're still undefeated, right? And you see other fighters that were undefeated and they say, "Oh, when I took my first loss, this and that changed." Like you can maybe learn from, people's opinions or people's experiences, right? But until you go through it yourself, until you actually get that loss yourself, that's kind of when it really settles in, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, it hit hard for sure, but I'm just trying to move on from it. But
Sure,
there's a
yeah.
lot to learn from it. There's a whole lot to learn from it, and that's all I'm trying to take away from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of bantamweight, right? That's got to be probably the most loaded weight class and pretty much the most
Yeah,
loaded promotion on the planet, right? What do you think about the shark weight that is bantamweight? About the
I
shark
mean,
tank that is bantamweight, rather?
it's stacked. I mean, from top to bottom, it's stacked. Um, Obviously, there's fights I would prefer for my next one, but in a weight class like 135, there's no gimmies. Even like the fights you prefer, they're gonna be dog fights. There's gonna be wars.
Right.
Everybody's good, and I think so much of that is we're all small, so we're like we none of these guys could have played pro sports in any other sport really. You get to 185, 205, those guys are big enough where they could have played other sports. I couldn't be in the NFL. I couldn't play in the NBA. Nobody in my weight could have. So these are like the best athletes who weigh that much, you know? So there's just so much talent. Everybody's really good. But I'm prepared for that. I've trained my whole life. I've been training since I was 10 years old. So I've been getting ready for that since I could remember, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, listen, anyways, again, you are competing again on May 27th in that grappling match. Where is it taking place?
It's taking place at 10th Planet Lombard over here.
Okay.
It's actually live super close to it, so it works out pretty nice.
Oh, because I was gonna ask you headed out there already, so you could just stay home and then head right over there the day of, right?
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes away, maybe. It's really close.
Oh, nice, nice. Is that sort of something that goes into the is that a factor when you're saying yes to this stuff? Like, wow, that's close too, convenient.
Oh yeah, yeah. I got actually offered to do something last week. It was like 5 hours away in Indiana, in some town I never heard of. So I was like, I'm not driving all the way out there.
Yeah, makes
I don't think
sense.
they're giving me a hotel, so I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
yeah,
especially if you have to pay for expenses and all that, it might not be worth it. I would agree with that.
yeah, no.
What have you enjoyed the most though throughout the process of, specifically preparing for the grappling, not, always focusing on every martial art while you're preparing for like an MMA fight? When you're preparing for just a grappling match, you're focused just on that. If that is what you're doing, what's been the most enjoyable what have you enjoyed most throughout it all?
Really, I mean, nothing changes for me. Like I'm training MMA
So
every
you're
day.
still doing the full spectrum.
Yeah, I'm doing everything. I nothing about my training changes at all. I mean, we have to make weight for this, so
Do you double down at least on the stuff or you just continue with the
no, I just continue doing exactly. We grapple a lot at my gym.
okay.
It's definitely flow striking, but we grapple a whole ton. So I'm grappling really high level guys. So I just use that. Nothing changes besides I won't be at practice on Saturday. I'll be at a grappling match.
There it is, yeah. So look, you
Yeah.
get through this match against Gutierrez May 27th. What excites you next, right? Like what kind of things would get you up?
Um, I mean, I'll do another one of these if something comes up, but I want to fight. I need to fight.
UFC fights what you want next, right?
Yeah, I want to fight. I'm ready to fight. I train a ton. I train twice a day, Monday through Thursday. Then I train Saturday. I'm always training, it seems like. So I'm ready to use it, ready to go out there and have a camp. And I need to win. I need to win a fight. There's no feeling like it. It's like a drug, honestly. And I need to have that feeling again.
Well, hopefully the UFC can get you back in there, Nick. Thanks for coming on the show, man. We do
Thank you.
appreciate the time. Guys, He's taking on Mando Gutierrez May 27th, Midwest Finishers, Super Fight, Flow Grappling. Be sure to check him out. Also, be sure to check him out in the UFC Octagon again for a second fight, whenever that may be. Good luck to you, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, take care.